With us tonight, we have Debra Medina. She is a true conservative and has been active in the Republican Party for 17 years. This is an advocate for private property rights, gun ownership, individual responsibility, and adherence to the Constitution. She has actively opposed big government, taxes, bailouts, mandatory vaccinations, the TTC, and abortion.
I am looking to assemble that team that comes together and looks creatively, and I really want to push that envelope. I want to shove that federal government back to Washington as quickly and as hard as I possibly can to say you have very limited enumerated power, and those are the only powers you're going to exercise over the citizens of the state of Texas, period. I want to encourage our local sheriffs and our local police departments and our law enforcement officials to stand on that 10th Amendment and to say you are not going to come in and terrorize the people of my state. Something else that we've not mentioned that's an example, and boy, we've seen it all along the Gulf Coast of the United States. We've had some pretty powerful hurricanes over the last few years. And what do you see happening every time a hurricane happens? We have the military coming in and supporting local law enforcement. That's not an appropriate use of our military. We've got Posse Comitatus that said the military isn't to be used for civilian law enforcement, but it desensitizes us to their presence, and it prepares us for a military state. We've got to be careful when those kind of things happen. And I know the men and women in our armed service are doing their job and they're doing their duty, and they are, serving their country and doing. But we've got to go back and study our history, and we've got to study the history of other countries that don't live as free as we do, and look at what they've done, look at what our founders gave us, and make sure that we understand that. Make sure our law enforcement understands their proper role. I don't think, by and large, that law enforcement or military, either one, go into the careers that they've chosen so that they can abuse the people that live in their town. That's not what they're about. It's just in this subtle flipping and this mindset, as you point out, that, well, our federal government says we have to, so we have to. We've got to be critical thinkers. We've got to be thinking about what it is that protects our liberty and freedom and push back from those things that don't, and say, you're not taking my blood without my consent. You're not coming into my home without a warrant. You're not taking my children.
Can you tell me a little bit about, what you expect as far as an uphill battle through this exploratory committee and things like that, just so our listeners know the types of things that you have to engage in, and maybe just let people know how they can support you and how they can get in touch with you, and then we'll move on to some more stuff about the Parental Rights Amendment.
Well, I tell you, Larry, when I was first asked to run for governor, the first time I was asked, I kind of just blew it off. And the next time that I was asked to have a conference call with some folks, and as they began to talk to me about their vision for putting me in the governor's office, I got chills, because the ideology that I would bring is so different from that we have in our federal government and in our state government today. I think Republicans and Democrats alike have grown government and grown government and grown government, and I want to put it back into its proper role, very limited government at the federal level, at the state level, very limited government, and allow people to prosper and be creative and be free. And I had an opportunity to visit with my congressman, and I said, can you just let yourself imagine what Texas would look like if we had that type of ideology being advocated from the governor's office? How quickly would liberty be restored? What would it do to our economy? Texas has a very diverse economy. We've got energy and health care and agriculture and technology sectors. We haven't seen a true free market in our country. If we began to get government off the backs of individuals and families and businesses and restored freedom, that ought to give everybody that's listening just chills. It's such a beautiful picture, and freedom brings people together. There's no question that this is going to be a David and two Goliath race. I have an incumbent governor and a long-time popular U.S. senator. They are both big government advocates. They both take a lot of money from lobbies and powerful national and international interests. I'm a wife and mother and registered nurse and small business owner. I am seventh generation Texas. I am one of you. And we Texans are looking for, we're hungry for someone with those ideas to begin to lead our state. And I get pretty excited. I say often I'm sure I am woefully unaware of how difficult this is going to be, but I have faced many challenges in my life, and that's just my nature, to fight for those things that I believe in, and I believe in this fight. I believe that we have got to engage this battle. I cannot sit silently by and watch executive orders like the one we saw, watch children being taken out of a whole community, just being cleaned out of every child in that community. Can't sit silently by. And so I'm going to run this race for all that I'm worth. I'm very encouraged by the people that are coming. We've got a long way to go. I wish it were not so, but it's important that we raise money quickly. And you can do that by visiting medinafortexas.com. There's some links and some forwards there. We don't have the official website launched yet, but there are ways that you can find the campaign through medinafortexas.com. And we'll hope to have that much simplified in the next couple of weeks, but anything that folks can do to help us, looking for expertise, looking for interested in talking to people who have particular expertise in the areas of education and economic policy and energy and healthcare and immigration, people whose ideas are consistent with a very limited government constitutional type of mindset. It will be thinking outside of the box, because certainly the people that are offering solutions to the problems that we face today are big government-minded individuals by and large, and we're going to turn that on its head and begin to put some of the founders' types of ideas back into the public square. I certainly appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on your show this evening. I, again, want to encourage those. I know there have to be, in your listening audience, individuals who have had those parental rights abused and perhaps even some that are going through battles now. I hope that having candidates who articulate the positions that I have this evening will be an encouragement to you. I pray that you will be encouraged by others who have gone through the same battle, and that together we will begin to restore these liberties. I remember being a young adult and watching that Berlin Wall crumble and how the people rejoiced at that freedom. And I think in many ways we've erected Berlin Walls here in our own nation, and we are separated from the freedom that our founders wanted us to enjoy. I'm excited about this race, and I want to see those walls that have been built up torn down so that freedom is restored in this state. And I know when that begins to happen in Texas, it will sweep across the country, and I'm very excited and encouraged about that. I appreciate the support, any support that your listeners can shove towards our campaign. I know that these are tough economic times, but together we will restore liberty in this country.